I'm Louise Kennedy, the founder of Oculus HR. Welcome to Mind the Generation Gap. I've spent my career helping people work better together. And right now is such an interesting time to be in business. We're seeing a real shift in the workplace as different generations start to bring new ideas and also opportunities. In this series, I want to look past the headlines and also explore how that we can bridge the generation gap. I'll be talking to business owners, educators and the next generation to hear their stories and really find out how we can work together to future-proof our businesses. Today we've got Lauren Turner and Hope Howard who have come along, and we've got a panel event that's taking place, and we're doing that with two of the students from Northumbria University, and the intention of this part is to be able to understand from the Gen Z what it's actually like being a Gen Z. So can we just start off maybe with yourself, Lauren, just to tell us a little bit about what you're studying and what work experience you've had so far.
Yep, so I'm doing business and marketing at Northumbria. I'm in my final year now, so hard stuff now.
Hard things, yeah.
And I work part-time as a supervisor at Nando's in the city centre.
In the city centre, which will be very busy, Nando's, I would imagine.
Yeah, especially since it's been half term last week, running around after all the kids, corn flying all over.
Okay, and what about yourself, Hope?
So I'm in final year as well, but I study economics at Northumbria. And then part-time I work as a children's gymnastics coach.
Okay, and is that in Newcastle as well?
Yeah, that's in Newcastle.
So are you both from the local area?
Yeah, I'm from Whitley Bay.
You're Whitley Bay.
I'm from Manchester.
Oh, you're from Manchester. I'm rubbish at accents. So you've decided to move here, obviously 3 years ago. And what will you do afterwards? Will you move back home or will you move?
I have got a house scheduled to stay up here.
Oh, have you?
So I'm hoping to stay up here.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? And you're hoping to find work in the local area?
Praying.
Yeah. So what is it that you're both thinking about doing next? Well, Hope, what are you thinking about from a job point of view? What are you thinking about?
I was hoping in logistics and planning.
Okay.
That's an area I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But with economics, it's such a broad topic that covers that I can go into stuff like payroll.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to go into and do an accountancy like internship after I come out. So there are definitely options to just get into the workforce.
And are you doing that through applying for graduate schemes, or are you trying to find a job, just a regular job, or how are you?
I've personally found that the graduate schemes are so competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's applying for them, especially in specific areas. Like in Newcastle, if I'm applying for accountancy in Newcastle, I'm against everybody who's applying for accountancy in Newcastle on the graduate schemes. Whereas a lot of entry-level jobs that people aren't necessarily looking at as graduate jobs often do not have the better feedback from employers. Like if I'm just going in for entry-level accountancy, they often will come back to me more than the graduate ones. Graduate ones I get like just a plain email like, sorry, we're not going to continue with this process.
Yeah.
Whereas actual employers I've found kind of reach out more often or not.
Right, okay. Interesting. What about yourself, Lauren?
I would quite like to go into marketing or maybe some events.
Okay.
Quite like to be like around people doing things. So I thought if I go into the marketing side, I think probably more PR, trying to be out there doing events and stuff.
And have you started applying for jobs yet?
I haven't yet.
No.
I think it's like quite daunting. I've been trying to get more experience, but when I do look to apply for jobs, it's like, 2 years experience or what have you had relating to this? And it's like, it's quite hard to get experience if you can't even get the job.
Yeah, it's quite
in
a
the
difficult
first
balance.
place.
And would you apply for a graduate one, or are you looking at more going
I have
straight
looked
into the
at
employer?
graduate roles, but then you go on and it's like already 100 applicants.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, I'm done for before I even get on. But I would probably try a bit of both. I think I would look more for companies I want to work for rather than just seeing roles that are available. Because I think like I would rather go for companies and just see what I can do for them rather than being set on a set area. I'm quite open to whatever I can get.
Are you thinking like that because you understand about kind of their culture and the values and to see whether it fits with you?
Well, I think having worked for Nando's, like I really love the company and the values and the culture. So now it's like a big part of what I look for.
Right.
Like I want to look for a company that's going to really align with me and what I want, because I feel like you can get like a role that you want to do pretty much anywhere, but you might not love the company and you probably won't be there for that long if you don't really love where you are.
What it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And just, this will lead back to the question, but how long have you been at Nando's?
Nearly 5 years
Nearly 5
now.
years. So that's quite a long time, obviously. So from a from a workplace point of view, you see people jumping around kind of every 2 or 3 years, certainly younger people jumping around. So do you think if you find a company that you love working for, or do you think you'll take your time to find the right company?
Yeah, because I think I
longer?
have like a comfortable job now, so I'm quite lucky to be like, oh, I can wait until I find the right fit. And even like something internally, like I would look to go into like central support within Nando's, but like maybe do something that I wasn't really thinking about, but because it's with them, I'd probably still enjoy it.
Yeah, do the value. So what about you, Hope? Do you think like that about it, or are you thinking more about role and...
I think with the company, it's a good one because once you've got the foot in the door, there's always that room to like internally climb up.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of companies are happy to train people who already work for them to widen their roles, not necessarily outsource. So I think if you get a company that you enjoy being with, I think it's worth staying with them and just kind of branching out.
Yeah. And so when you have been looking at those different levels of jobs, has that been part of what your thoughts have been? Because the SME market in the North East make up, I think it's about 80% of the companies that are in the North East. So you probably don't know a huge amount about all of the companies. Have you found that when you've been looking for work?
Yeah, back home, obviously, I know about some of the companies, and you have people who know people in companies, whereas up here, I'm kind of going in a bit blind.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm grateful. Like, I made friends with a lot of girls who are from this way up.
Yeah.
And just speaking to them, like, I didn't even know Nissan was based out of Sunderland until I moved out here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have got postgraduate jobs with Nissan and love it. But like, I didn't even consider that as a company up here.
Yeah. So I suppose it's that exposure of what businesses are around, isn't it, local, for you to be able to look into. So what else would it be that would be a driver for you looking for roles?
I'm quite particular on shift patterns. Obviously, in hospitality, they're all over the place. But I think when I get a full-time job, I know a lot of friends that work in like HMRC and they get like flexi-time and stuff like that. And I'm like, that is amazing. So something like that, I would definitely...
Flexibility around like your working hours, like your days, like the length of your day, or some days you work
like
longer, some days
if you go in half an hour earlier, you can leave half an hour earlier and stuff like that. I think it gives you a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I think that would be so important for me when I get a job.
When you get it. What about yourself?
I think the same. I think after COVID, bringing in obviously the work from home scheme, but also coming into the office scheme, I think that's great. I know on days where my mum, for example, when she has to take my sister to a doctor's appointment, she can do the work from home day, and she'll do half the day in the morning, take my sister to the doctor's appointment, and do the rest of the day in the evening.
Yeah.
She's still getting all the work done, but she's managed to not have to take a day off work to get that task done.
Yeah. And when you talk about work-life balance, is that another important aspect for both of you to want to do?
Yeah, I think, like my mum says, do you live to work or work to live? And I do not want to just be all about work. Like, I want to have a job I really enjoy and like want to go to, but not because like I feel like, oh, I have to go to work today. And then I want to have a life outside of work. And I think, especially if I go into like marketing and stuff, your life is kind of on your phone. Like, you bring work home with you. Yeah. So I want to be able to like have a job where you can turn off and actually have some time away
and do the other things.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I would like a good balance. I'm quite sporty, and I hope to keep going with that. Yeah. And I would love to be able to still continue those sports even when I'm in the corporate world. Yeah. I think it'd be a bit upsetting to kind of feel myself sludging into a desk-based job and I live at the desk and that is it.
Yeah, so having that flexibility around it as well. And obviously you do the gymnastics training as well, so is that the type of thing that you would continue doing if it worked for you?
I've always said to my work that if it worked around it, I would love to at least do 1 or 2 days a week. I love the kids.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like you get something back from them when you
very
like when
much.
you're doing it?
Yeah, it brings a smile to my face, especially like at competition, seeing them like improve and perform well, and like we do displays at Christmas, and I just love seeing the smiles on their faces. It means a lot to me.
So when you kind of think about your future career, how does it feel? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel a bit daunting? I know you've said you've applied for jobs and you said you haven't. Obviously, probably at slightly different stages. How do you feel about looking at the future?
Oh, I hate it, if I'm honest.
I'm glad you said it first.
I honestly hate it. I'm trying to graduate. I'm trying to do all of my current modules well. I'm trying to make sure I'm putting my all into university. I don't want to come out with a degree that I feel like I didn't try my hardest in, because I was too busy trying to run left, right and centre to go to job interviews for jobs that I might not even get, and spending hours of day creating like cover letters for companies that won't even look at it. They'll just put it through a system and it'll either green flag or red flag it. And there's not actually been that human that's looked at it and like looked at you as a person.
Yeah.
So then I really have to weigh up, like, is it worth kind of risking some of my grades for my degree for this job hunt that is not even guaranteed?
Yeah. It's quite a crucial time, isn't it, for you to be thinking like that, because you've only really probably got 2 or 3 months left at uni. Yeah, so it's kind of all in. And what about yourself?
I don't enjoy thinking about work in the future. It's like, it is overwhelming because you think, oh, I can't wait to have like a job that I enjoy, but it's so competitive.
Yeah.
And I think everyone I speak to, like all my friends, will all want the same thing. We'll all want like the same companies with like the same balance, and just everyone's going for them jobs. And it's like, you've got to be the best, but how do you be the best? Like, how do you stand out?
And what are you doing, like, in the background of that to stand out, you know? So like my son wants to be a lawyer. He's at Northumbria Uni, and I'm saying to him, you can't just be the same as everybody else. You've got to go out and do the law clinics, or you've got to go and do. So are you doing anything extra to make yourself stand out? Obviously you both work as well.
Yeah, so I've got my part-time job, and then I volunteer to help this like startup company with their marketing and their content.
Right.
And then, similar to yourself, I've got a level 1 in football coaching. I coach little girls football.
All right, okay.
So it's just doing loads of different things to make yourself look like a rounded person, and like obviously you enjoy them as well, and you want the experience, but it does ultimately look good on your CV. But it's like, how far do you have to stretch yourself just to look good?
Yeah, to try and just
like
getting that balance.
You can't just have a conversation with people anymore. Walk in with your CV and be like, "Hi, I'm nice. Let me have a job,
please."
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I think you're constantly trying to round yourself, and you always think like, could I do more? So personally, like, I'm team captain for my uni's water polo team. We're performing very well as a team this season. I love it, but with that takes up 3 or 4 days of my week around training and competing. So you have that level of like, what else can I do? So I'm trying to do like the Bloomberg courses that they're putting on, do like all of the online courses, all these online Zoom calls that you can get onto, to just have say like, oh, I've done this course in this, but you're just like, is it ever enough? Are they even going to look at it?
Yeah.
It sounds like you've put yourselves in a very competitive marketplace, isn't it? Is that how you feel? Like it's a real competitive?
I feel like it is for everybody though. I don't think it's just us.
No,
it's like everyone's...
I think the fact that you're having to do those things just to get the next job, isn't it? To get the job, isn't it?
I think it's even for part-time work now, though. Like, I have friends who are just looking for part-time jobs around university to make some money, and it's still just as competitive as the postgraduate market.
Right, okay.
Yeah, like I know, like at my work, when we put out applications, you can get like 100 applicants, and it's just a hospitality job, like for part-time wage, but everyone's trying to go for it.
Yeah, it's quite intense on how it's done.
Yeah.
And when you're looking for roles, because obviously I've talked to some companies about how they do the recruitment, when you're looking for roles, where do you look? Like, where years gone by, you used to look in the Chronicle for a job, but obviously not now. But obviously you like the likes of Indeed's there. But what platforms do you look on? Is it socials? Is it kind of job boards? Where do you look for roles?
I look on LinkedIn. I follow like a few people that post about jobs, and then Indeed as well if you're looking more locally. But if you feel like, oh, I could move, then I feel like LinkedIn's a really good place.
That's what to do.
Yeah.
I'd say the same. LinkedIn's a good one, and then our university has like the graduate careers.
Right.
Yeah. So every now and then we'll get emails sent out with like a list of careers and jobs that are opening, and like a link to how to apply to them. So when that email comes through, I'm reading through like what area of work is it and what area is it in, and I'm looking through being like, could that be something for me? Let's have a look, let's apply.
And would you expect to find jobs on things like Instagram, TikTok? Would you expect to find jobs on that, or?
I probably wouldn't trust them.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you know, when you see them people on TikTok that's like, you can work in this company and fly all around the world and do this, you're like, oh, that's a dream. But like, that's not real.
It's not reality.
Yeah, it's too good to be true.
And would you say the same about?
I think it would really depend on the area that you're going into. I think if you were doing, say, marketing and someone was looking for like an Instagram manager, I think it would make sense for that to go through Instagram, but for my area, like, not at all.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting when we've talked to the bigger companies about where they're starting to look to put roles out, you know, and obviously trying to create their culture or show their company culture online in those type of platforms to attract to Gen Z, you know, to be able to encourage them to start joining the business. So I was just interested to know where it is that you would expect to see.
Yeah.
And interested that you wouldn't essentially trust
Yeah.
that's on there.
I think it depends who it's coming from, but most of the time, if it was just someone talking on TikTok, I'd be like, oh, I don't know.
I also feel my algorithm would just be flooded with work like that. It would just be like job on job on job on job, and I think I'd just get
that would ruin it.
Yeah. Just feel like I can't do it anymore.
Do you think you get overwhelmed by, like, obviously, you know, you're obviously digitally connected all the time, so you've got your Instagram, you've got your TikTok, you've got whatever other platforms you use, but do you feel like you get overwhelmed by the information that comes from that at times, whether it's about jobs, whether it's just about general life, or do you build an expectation around what you think things should be because you've seen it on there?
Yeah, social media's a horror for comparing yourself to other people, I think. Especially if you want to go into like marketing and like, or in fashion, you'll see like someone your age is like at Paris Fashion Week and they're marketing for like L'Oreal or some amazing company, and you're like, I'm already behind. I'm already behind, and it's like you're not even graduated yet, but you feel behind. Yeah.
So do you feel like you make that comparison against yourself?
Yeah.
And to other people that's there.
Yeah, and I mean LinkedIn, like you'll know from being on it, everyone's like, oh, this week I've done this amazing thing, and now I'm on six figures, and I only saw my business last week, and you're like, this is not real. But it's hard to like actually get a realistic look on things when you think, oh, these people are doing that and I'm nowhere near that.
And not doing it, yeah. And how do you feel about social media?
I think social media, you're always trying to put your best self forwards. Like, you want everyone to know your biggest achievements, obviously the best looks for yourself. So I think social media is great in the way of, like, you can highlight all of those great attributes of yourself, but seeing that every day and everybody's, like, big achievements and all, like, you just feel awful within yourself because you're like, could I be doing more? Am I already behind?
So do you feel overwhelmed by it sometimes?
Definitely. Looking, even stuff, if it's not to do with work, looking at people my age who are potentially putting down for house deposits, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've gone to university and got in debt, and you've gone and done an apprenticeship, should I have done that instead?
Yeah. So you do make that comparison around what it is. Because social media does have a huge part to play in. Are you both active on it, or are you more scrollers as opposed to inputters, or?
I'm both.
Are you?
Yeah, I say I hate it, but I love it. It's a love-hate relationship.
Do you use it all the time?
Yeah, my screen time's horrendous.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I need to stop. I need to cut back. That is a goal of mine, like less screen time.
Less screen time. And what do you go on? What's your
Instagram, TikTok? I'm a chronicle scroller, like all the time.
Do you ever feel as though you're missing out on other things to do scrolling?
Yeah, like I could be like, oh, I should like be reading, or I should do my uni work right now, but it's like, oh, just one more minute, and then it's never 1 more minute.
And what are you like on it?
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I think it just really depends. Like when I'm present with someone, like the phone is the last thing on my mind. Like having a conversation, like it's the last thing on my mind. I think it's more when you're isolated and on your own, which I feel like happens a lot whilst you're at university.
Yeah.
Because everybody's on different schedules. Like once you've got that kind of alone time, it's just a downward spiral. Yeah.
So you could both spend quite a lot of time on it during the day.
Yeah.
I'll find an expression on your face.
I confess.
No, but it is quite interesting. And do you think that part of your thoughts for the future of being kind of behind the screen, you know, like you're on, like looking at the screen, like it's quite a big step for you both to come here and do this, isn't it, and be in front of the camera? Have you felt like it's a big step to do it, or are you the type of people that just take it in your stride?
I think I've definitely like got confidence from working with people like 5 years as you build up, you're able to chat to people, but it is still nerve-wracking, like going out and being face-to-face, and like especially like interviews or like meeting new people for the first time. You're like, oh, how do you present yourself?
Yeah. And what about you?
I think it's the same. Like even just for today, like I was thinking, I remember phoning my mum being like, what does one wear to this? Like what do I actually wear to this? I have no clue what to do because everything's online now. Yeah. Like even interviews half the time they'll be over Zoom rather than you coming physically in. So that like that humanization's kind of been taken away, and I was like, what shoes do I put on? And I was just like, I don't think it matters that much.
And do you think that'll make an impact when you go, like say if you get a job, like an office-based job, do you think you'll want to be there 5 days a week? Do you think you'll feel like you want to be at home? Do you like a mix between the two, or?
I think I could be there 5 days a week, but if I had the choice, I would love a hybrid job, half in, half out, or like flexible, like, oh guys, should we come in on Tuesday, or should we work from home, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'd love the balance.
Yeah, even if it's not necessarily hybrid all the time, the option to occasionally work remote would be great.
Yeah.
Just to say, like, today I do need to be in the house, but my work will still be done.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing.
And do you think that's the feel like you're getting from your friends as well when you're all talking about type of jobs? And is that the general feel, or are people... I think I was asking probably from a point of view that people are so much behind the screens all the time. It's like that idea of having to show up every day, like 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever in an office. I was just wondering what people's perceptions were of that.
Well, I had a friend that worked from home. She thought, oh, I really want to work from home after uni. I think I'll be able to go to the gym more and cook better. She hated it.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm just not socialising enough. I feel like really secluded. So now she works in an office and she much prefers it. And she's like, oh, I wouldn't want to work from home. And I'm like, oh, I do see the point of like, I would want to have like that bond with people. You don't get that like over a call.
Definitely don't.
And especially when it's like, okay, we've got a meeting like 12 till 1. There's no time for like, oh, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
So I definitely would like the balance.
Yeah.
But like you say, like the option to be like, oh, I'm really busy today. Like, I'm just going to do it from home. So.
And do it from home instead. Yeah. It's having the right mix, isn't it? Because I think if you can't isolate yourself, and I think when we deal with different companies that struggle to get people back into the workplace. After COVID, it was a real struggle, and then people started really suffering from severe mental health issues because they were isolated, they were then stressed, then they had full anxiety about coming back into the workplace and being with people. So there's like so many steps along the way that are so difficult. To be able to do it. What's your perception of it?
The theory is lovely, and then I look back to the time where I was doing like learning from home during COVID, trying to do my A-levels, and I hated every moment of it.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I wanted to do was like put my hand up on a screen and be like, I don't understand what you're doing, or like the camera's too blurry, or correct anything. I was just terrified.
Yeah.
Because all of these people who were in the class with me, I had never actually met.
Yeah.
Like it was a group of 30 people in a class, and I didn't actually know anyone, and it was terrifying for me to kind of raise my hand and be like, oh, I don't understand. And so I found my A-levels really difficult. Like I did that first year online, and I hated every moment of it. I ended up self-teaching a lot of my A-levels to myself because I just didn't have the confidence on the online classrooms. And they are daunting, aren't they? When you do like Zooms and things like that, they are daunting if you're the one putting your hand up in that circumstance. And so how did you feel going from that COVID year and then going back into... or going to, because that would be the first time that you'll have met the people. How did you feel about it? It just felt weird. Yeah. It's just me specifically, we didn't really get to know each other then. So then my final year at college, like that second year, like I didn't really know that many people. I knew my friends, and that was it. Yeah. There wasn't really those branching out, whereas I look at my time at university now, where there's been none of that online learning. And there's so many people from different courses that I've met through different things. Like I've met you today. And it's just, there's those connections and that networking that you just don't have on an online call. Yeah. It's still very difficult, I always think, from a work point of view. If you've got a work call and it's 12 till 1, you log on, you haven't really got time for the chit-chat, where at least when you arrived here today, we just had a quick chat about, different things, but you don't have that when you just log on to a call, do you, in the same type of way. So, from a point of view, you've kind of both briefly mentioned your parents there. What influence do you think your parents have had at this point now to where you are at university? For myself, a massive one. I'm the first in my family to go to university and want a corporate job. Right. My dad had his own business for 35 years in a catering company, and my mum's also a manager in hospitality, and now he's a carer. But I'm the only one that wants to be in an office or a set structure like that. So I think the support they've had for me is massive, because when I'm going home and I'm like, I can't do this assignment, they're like, you can and you have to. Yeah. And there's times where I want to quit and I'm like, it's fine. I'll just live comfortable now. I'll just stay in hospitality or whatever. They're like, no, you won't, because you won't be happy. Keep pushing and trying. And then I'm like, okay,
you're right. Have to keep
So
trying.
they've helped shape you into
Yeah,
where
definitely.
You are. And do you think they've kind of maybe it's not quite the right word, but do you think they've pushed you down channels that weren't necessarily right at the time? Or the reason I'm asking this is, so one of the stats that comes out is the number of parents that end up being involved in interview processes. So there's something one of the stats is about 55% of Gen Z bring parents to interviews. I mean, is that on your radar to do?
I can't imagine that ever. I don't know how that works. Do you mind if my mum sits and I'm nervous?
That's what people do.
Really?
Yeah. There's actually quite a lot of stats around that.
I can't imagine it.
So do you, from your point of view, do your parents kind of guide from the back and just to be able to,
like if I ever need anything, or I've like rang mum at like 4 o'clock in the morning crying over assignments, like I need help, and she's like, okay, what do you need? And like all nighters, they're always there, but I can't imagine being like, Mum, come in my interview. I should be like, no, come on, you can do this now. Put your big girl pants on, off you go.
Off you go.
Yeah.
So what about yourself with your parents' influence?
I'm the same but opposite. So neither of my parents went to university. I'm the first to do it. But they've taken a step back. They're always there to support me in whatever decision I make. But they've very much been like we don't know what's going on. This is kind of your grounds to work. Like what you want to do is what you want to do. We'll be happy and supportive in it, but we've got no clue what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
So I remember like trying to explain to my dad like what a first is and like what the difference is between a 2-1 and a first and what the grades and the percentages mean and all the weighting, and he's just like, so is that good or bad? And I'm just like, good, and he's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. It's just where you're aiming for.
Yeah. So that's.
But you would be able to, it sounds like you'd be able to rely on them for anything that you needed, kind of guidance-wise.
Oh, yeah, my mum, she's probably sick of her phone because I've moved away. So I think I've phoned her more than when I was living at home. Just like, what is going on?
Did you feel homesick moving away from home? I mean, obviously you're 3 years in now, but...
I did... Mostly my second year, I'll be honest. My first year, no, I think because it was just like everything was going on at once and like there was so much to do, so many people to meet, like so many opportunities. And it kind of came to second year and it was kind of like, like,
this is reality.
Yeah, like the exams got a bit harder and you were kind of getting a taste of what third year was going to be, and you're like, oh, maybe I do need to slow down on some of like the extracurricular, like socialising with people, like, well, maybe I can't go to that. I do actually need to sit at home and write this essay because it is actually requires some brain thinking here.
And so, success. What does success look like for you now and maybe 5 years in the future?
I think now I would feel pretty content in myself. Like, although I say, I compare myself, I feel like I am successful. Like, I'm content and happy with myself. Like, I've got a good support system, like loads of friends and family. I'm happy in my job and I'm doing well at uni, so I feel I am successful now.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time, I would probably want to have done a bit of travelling, be maybe in a different city or country and have a job that I enjoy. And I feel like for me that would be successful as long as I'm like somewhere that I enjoy and doing something I enjoy.
Brilliant. What about yourself?
I think success for me, I'm counting down the days till graduation. I'm literally just counting it down and get me across that stage and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that I can really like focus on right now. And then in 5 years' time, I just like to be stable.
Yeah.
Just a stable income and not really having to stress too much about like where I'm going next. Just be able to like have a sit down and a breathe for a bit without having to. I feel like at the moment it's so discombobulated, or like emails coming in left, right and centre from different people and sending stuff off. I'm ready to just be like sat down and just take time out and be like, I've got everything I need.
Appreciate the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think you both, just as an extra question, do you think you would both kind of in 5 years' time see yourself owning property, like getting a house, or do you think you'll still just be doing your thing?
Hopefully, but I think in this day and age it's pretty hard to buy, like get on the property ladder. I know that there's like first time buyer like schemes and stuff, but it depends where you want to be as well. Like in London, definitely not. But maybe here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I think God bless the people that are managing to do it now. Honestly, I really don't know. I'm renting at the moment, so I feel like every penny I earn just goes straight back out.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I want to stay up here in Newcastle rather than move back home once I graduate, I'm going to have the same situation even when I go into a career and go into a job, that I feel like it's just going to be going out as fast as it comes in.
Yeah. That's the whole of life.
Yeah.
It's everything. Do you think that Gen Z are different in any way? Do you recognise yourself as being different to what I am? Do you, or people of my type of age? Do you see yourselves as being different?
Yeah, very. Yeah. And obviously I can't speak for like older generation, but I see with my parents, like my mum and dad left school very young, no GCSEs, A-levels, degrees.
Yeah.
Whereas now I would be really overwhelmed if I didn't have that, because compared to all my friends, pretty much all of them have got degrees.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine walking out without GCSEs. I think it'd be really hard to get any opportunity.
Yeah.
Without like support. And then in terms of like getting a job, like I say, you used to be able to walk in somewhere with your CV and be like, I'm a good hard worker, like tell me what you need us to do and I'll crack on. Whereas now, like you say, you do a cover letter, you make a CV, you go through all these online exams, you're judged by a bot before you can even get through to a person. So it's like, how does anybody see who you are?
Who you actually are. Yeah. So do you think that differentials to, so obviously that part of life, but the way that maybe I think we might have spoke about before you came on around people like in the workforce, that are they treated differently, or are things explained slightly differently? I think we spoke about it, didn't we? Briefly?
Yeah, I feel like you have to just pick up stuff a lot faster and just go with it. I've noticed myself, like I'm the youngest on my team. Sometimes you don't always get the same like trust as the like older people get, because like you think, the older you are, the more experience you have, but sometimes I'm more skilled in a certain area than others, so it's like, trust that I've got this and it's fine. But people just look at you like, you're 21, you don't know what you're going on about, but sometimes you do.
Yeah.
So
what about you?
I think you can go one of both ways. You can either be coddled or you can be expected a lot more of you than you're ready for. So I think either they can look at you as like a young adult and be like, they're not up for this, they're not ready for this, and so like you won't get those opportunities. Or you just kind of get everything thrown on you at once and you're just like, whoa, this is a lot. And no one's showing you direction. They just kind of expect you to pick it up and book it up. And I think that's quite hard, because you never know what you're going to get, and you're constantly fighting to like prove yourself, because you never want to let someone down. Yeah. You never want to say you can't do it, because the second you say you can't do it, then you're potentially never going to get that opportunity again.
So do you feel like you have to work harder to achieve it, when you're saying that you don't want to say you can't do it? Do you feel like the expectation is there that you should know how to do it?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's kind of a given that they're just like, oh, you should know how to do this, and I'm like, in what world would I know how to do this yet? Yeah. Like our degree, we go through different like programs, and you can get into a job and they use a different program to the one that I've ever used in my degree. Yes, I know the like baseline of what I'm trying to do, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily know that program off by heart. And it's kind of just like, well, you've got a degree in it, so like get on with it.
To do it. And so when we think about stereotyping, I think sometimes people can put Gen Zs in one category and speak about them as one, but actually everybody's different, aren't they? They've got everyone's got different skills and abilities, and as all generations have. But how do you feel when Gen Z's stereotyped? Do you want to go first?
I feel like Gen Z, a lot of people think of the younger end of Gen Z, like the people who are still coming through school now. I think they think like Gen Z, they think of that really slightly lower age range of it, and kind of forget that some of us who are born in the early 2000s are like, we're still Gen Z, and we're still coming through, and we're young adults now. We are entering the workforce. We do have the knowledge, and we do have the ability, and I think we just kind of get put in a bracket. It's so wide, but we're just put down the lower end. I think the second I say I'm Gen Z, they're like, oh, you're a baby.
Yeah.
I think the stereotype in Gen Z is that we're a bit too woke and soft and like expect a lot, but I think it's just like basic expectations. Like sometimes it's like, oh, you think that you should have like a mental health day, and I'm like, well, yeah, you should, but some people don't believe in stuff like that. And I think sometimes, like playing to the stereotypes, I think a lot of Gen Z believe that like that stuff's important, but then maybe some older generations don't. So I think we can be looked down on as like, God, they don't want to work, they just want to relax and have fun, and they think that work's a game, and that you come to work to enjoy it, but like you should enjoy work if you're there like 5 days a week, I think.
I think one of the words, and I don't particularly like because I don't think it puts it in the right context, but clients of ours will make reference and say, oh, well, they're entitled.
Yeah.
But like, and I'll go back and say, well, what do you mean by that then? You know, what do you mean by entitled? But it is a word that's been used quite a lot, I feel like, around Gen Zs. But I think it's a difficult one to articulate what it actually is.
I would probably argue, should we not be? Like, if you're working somewhere 42 hours a week and you put in all your effort and your time into it, should we not be entitled to, like, good holiday time and, like, good work-life balance and, you know, like, support systems if we need it? Like, is that not what the workplace... That's how I believe the workplace should be.
Look.
Yeah, but then, obviously, some people are like, oh, you're so soft, just get to work and crack on. But
what do you think about
I
that?
don't think it's entitlement at all. I think it's knowledge and education. I think... as much as like we've grown up in a different age of like the education system, like we carry around phones and laptops and iPads now where it's just a plethora of knowledge, like everything's one Google search away. We're constantly being fed other people and information from like different areas that take generations before us would have no clue that's going on. People are more free to speak about their workplace. They're happy to speak about their wages, their benefits that come with that. People are more open with that, so we're more knowledgeable on that. And it's like, well, why are you getting this and I'm not? Like, I'm aware that that is happening, so why shouldn't I get that?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's entitlement. I think it's just we know what's going on and you're not kind of going to slip it by us now. Like, I think we're entitled to everything that everybody else is.
So do you think there's more of an expectation, as in you know what you want, and therefore, and potentially an employer doesn't necessarily know that, but there's an expectation of you know what you want for the future, and therefore you want to work with the employer to try and achieve that. Do you think there's a bit of what would be classed as like a reverse mentoring type thing that could happen in workplaces, where actually if the workplaces that were prepared to listen, that there's a conversation that comes back from the employer down to the employee, as opposed to, you know, vice versa, you know, kind of them learning from you about what their expectations are.
Yeah, I think if you ask your staff what they want and you listen, then you're going to have happier staff. Like, if you actually have that, like, relationship where you can have that conversation and be like, I'll work so hard for you, but this is what I need. And then if you can do that for each other, then it sounds like a good place to work, really.
And do you think that comes from real, clear, transparent communication?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, if you have them tiers, like, making sure it doesn't get lost along the way, like, especially in big companies, it's quite hard to get a message to the top, but if everyone's on the same page, then...
I think if a lot more companies listened to their employees, they would see that a lot of the time it's not necessarily that they think, oh, I'm just going to hear that they want a pay raise or that they want this and they want that. And it's like, why would a company want a high turnover rate where they're constantly bringing new people in, they're constantly training new people, they're trying to teach them these new systems? Why wouldn't you want to retain your current employees who have got good at that? They know the good ways to do it. Like, a lot of companies don't realise that their employees have found smarter ways to do systems that they didn't realise even existed, because we're the ones that are doing it every day. We're repeating it and doing it every day. So we found the logical way to do it. So why would you want a high turnover rate? Why wouldn't you just listen to that employee and be like, this is what I need to continue working well in my job? And then you don't have to bring in someone new and train them up.
Do you think that'll help? Because obviously we talked earlier about the retention rate of you know, how long people stay in businesses. Do you think if they were more listened to, then that would make a difference? People would stay longer?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I get told now is that I'm young and that a lot of people in our generation, the generation above it, have multiple career paths. They go into completely different sectors. So a lot of the feedback I've been getting is, try it, start it. If you don't like it, there's nothing holding you there. And that is the case because there's not the benefits there to keep me there.
Yeah. So it means that you know that things can be fluid and it can change and shift, can't you, if need be?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. You've both been really insightful. I think it's been really interesting from my point of view, listening to what you've had to say and around the Gen Z and your perception of what it is. So thank you very much to you both, Lauren and Hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That is all for this episode of Mind the Generation Gap. I hope you found the conversation as valuable as I did, and it's clear when we actually take the time to listen, the gap between us doesn't feel anywhere near as wide.